Well, hello and welcome to our second bonus session. Happy Sunday. Let me know if you can hear me and you can see me loud and clear. Can you hear me loud and clear? Can you see me? Am I coming through? Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. Listen, I already know if you're here on a Sunday for the time that we've allotted, that you are someone who is very serious about your career and really your life, right? Because you recognize the importance of working on your career. Monday will roll around and you'll go back to the grind and go back to all the things, but carving out the bit of time to say, okay, what am I really doing? What's going on here, right? What do I need to know so that I can make better decisions in my career and in my life? And I'm so thrilled and honored that you're here sharing your time with us. And I hope that so far we have been delivering on our intention of making this so valuable, so packed with value that you really know and you believe that you can catapult your career using everything that you're hearing in these sessions. I want to remind you that the doors are still open for you to join us inside the Career Catapult Executive Coaching Program for women leaders who are ready to catapult to their next skip level promotion now. If you want to land that next role to senior director, VP, SVP, all the way to the C-suite, this is the program for you. We have catapulted over 400 women leaders over the last 7 years, and we are just getting started. We are not stopping, okay? We are just getting revved up because we want every single person to have the opportunity, the information to go from this being something that's just possible to something that you actually do, something that you take off of your vision board and your journal and you actually make it happen. So many of you on day one, when we asked you whether or not you believed job number two, right, two big leaps could happen, most of you indicated that you didn't. Most of you indicated that you didn't know how. Some of you were very excited and you're like, yep, let's go. But a lot of you indicated that you had no idea or that you didn't believe it, right? And so this is your moment of truth. This is your moment of truth. This program is exactly what you need to make it happen. And so now you have to decide. You have to decide, do I want the thing that I keep saying I want, or do I just want to go back and keep doing it the way I've always done it and just hope for the best, right? And hope for the best. Many of you who are here are already doing so well. You're doing so well in your career already. You're doing great. Okay. If you're here, you're likely already making at least $150,000 in your career, right? And research shows that once you hit about that number, most people tend to just, accept, take their foot off the gas and just say, okay, well, I'm already doing great. But there's some of you who know that there's so much more. There's so much more, right? You want to lead at a higher level. You want to make impact in your organizations. Okay. And you want to make the money that is commensurate with that, but do it in a way that doesn't burn you out. There is a way to do this. And if you are looking at all the other people who don't have what you want, then you're going to think it's not possible for you. But there are the select few who are ready to move forward. They're ready to make the investment. They're ready to say, yep, I know this is going to work for me and I'm going to make it happen. If that describes you, the door is still open. cycprogram.com is the link for you to apply. Okay. And then once you apply, we'll review your application. If it makes sense, we'll invite you to a conversation. Some of you have already applied, but you have not booked the call, okay? We do have a limited number of spots. There's only one me, and we have a limited team. And so we're not gonna be able to open our doors forever to everyone at any point. We are consistently looking to see, okay, how many people do we have? And, are we at the point where we need to shut our doors for a bit? Okay, because and people ask me all the time, like, when will the doors open again? Or I don't know. The reason I don't know is because we have clients who renew and they say, I want to keep going. So we look at our numbers every single day to figure out, okay, here's our service level. This is how long we want to take in terms of response times, in terms of helping people land their roles. How many people does it take to maintain that service level? We are looking at that every single day. Okay, and it's for that reason I say, if you are ready, now is the time. Now is the time to do it. Don't put it off, right? Decide and then move forward. All right, with that, what I want to do is share with you another brief conversation that I had with someone here in boot camp. I think our last boot camp actually is when she was here. So Samantha, if you want to go ahead and hit play on that conversation I had with Sharice, and let's share this. Actually, before you do, Samantha,
Fantastic.
real quick, let me say this real quick before you hit play. Charisse was somebody who had very clear goals. She knew exactly. Put me back on the screen here for a bit, Samantha. Charisse was somebody who had very, very clear goals. She knew that she wanted to be in a certain place in her career. She had an age-related goal. She's like, I want to be here by age this, right? And you'll hear this in the conversation. And one thing I love about Charisse, and I've known her for a number of years now because she's one of our clients who's renewed. We're in year either 3 or 4, working together. One thing I love about her is that she is committed. When you look at how she started her career and some of the headwinds, and even the age that she was when she really got going, you'll see, and hopefully you'll see this as you hear our conversation, you'll see someone who's determined, someone who's committed, okay, someone who's focused, and someone who made no excuses. She figured out how to make the investment. It wasn't the easiest thing for her to do at the time, and I know more about the situation, but she made it happen, and the rest is history. So go ahead, Samantha, and play that conversation I had with Charisse.
Fantastic. Well, hi everyone. My name is Charisse Moore, and as Stella mentioned, I was in Stella's program about 2 years ago now, and we've kept in touch ever since. My job is working at a public relations agency. I'm a senior vice president focused specifically on earned media, or media relations as it's called. I've been in this position for over 2 years now, was with the agency for about 3. So I was promoted from VP to SVP, just 1 year on the job. I also won the firm's MVP award for stellar client and colleague service. And so with the help of Stella's Catapult Your Career program, I really established a positive impression early on, I'd say, which has really carried me through my work today. So, I know it's a Saturday, but honestly, there's no place I'd rather be than hearing about you all and sharing my experience.
Oh, thank you so much. So is that 2 awards then? Because I remember Killer Instinct Award. Is that, and then, so this is the second award that you've won since being at the organization. Is that correct?
I did. Can you believe that? I mean,
Wow.
again, I was someone that started off engaging with Stella saying, I kind of want to do this because I feel like you don't know what you don't know. So let me just brush up on some career skills. Apparently, I over indexed, okay, because I went all in on the program. I went through the steps. I took it seriously. I had fun along the way. And as a result, things really started to open up in my career all around me. So
Yeah.
you guys
So
are in the
let's
right
wind the
place.
clock back a little bit, right? So when we first met, you had we met when I was doing a speaking engagement back in the Bay Areas, like years ago. But then when
Yeah.
we first started working together, you had just gotten the job, correct?
I had just gotten a job, and I think I reached out to you before my start date saying, hey, like, I remember you from the ColorCom talk. A lot of what you shared resonated with me. I'm someone who considers myself, high potential. What can I do to set myself up for the best career ahead, given this is my first time stepping into a more senior role? So, engaged with you, joined the program right from the start. It was like the perfect timing to kind of kick off my new career, senior focused career with a bang. And so that's how it all started.
I love it. And I like that you touched on that because what I hear sometimes is people who say, well, I'll just join the company first, and then then maybe 6 months later, I'll start actually being intentional about my brand. Or a year later, when I'm actually ready for the promotion, then I'll start doing my work. And what
Mm.
you've demonstrated is that there's value in like being intentional from the jump, from the moment that you introduce yourself to people and you say, this is who I am and this is what I do. Like from that moment, how valuable it is for you to be very thoughtful about how you're presenting yourself in those situations.
Hmm. So I agree with that. I think what your program taught me is going in with a strategy, right? I think a lot of us go into that next job or maybe even a promotion in your current position and you say, I'll just hope for the best. I'll hope for the best. Or you think, I'm just going to work hard and I'm going to get recognized and that'll do it, or I'm going to, just kind of get in there and hope that someone recognizes my talent. What's important is going in with the strategy, as you mentioned, knowing your stakeholders, like who are the key players that are going to be critical to the success of your career and what's important for them to know, right? Because I think you can go into a job with 1,000 different ways to approach it. But if you don't have that strategic thinking in how can I appeal to my stakeholders in a way that they're going to care about me and get them excited about me and understand the total value that I bring, then you're kind of going in blind. And now it's not to say you can't find success eventually, but it's probably going to be a lot slower and less efficient. I think that another part of strategy is being thoughtful in how you communicate, down to even strategic vulnerability. So Stella talks about finding moments and times where you can say, you know what, it's okay not to have all the answers. And why that works is that's how you gain trust. When people feel like they have a good read on you, whether you know the answer or not, that's really, really big. And building trust is going to be really cornerstone to everything that you do going forward. Obviously, that for a lot of people, that's like, don't want to do that because we're natural perfectionists, right? I'm sure if you're on this call, you're probably a bit of a perfectionist. But again, even though that kind of goes against everything we've been taught, which a lot of the program does, it's very counterintuitive in a lot of ways, right? But there's a method to the madness. So it's really about putting you in control of your career and thinking strategically.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of the more like tangible wins, and you don't have to share any numbers if you're not comfortable, but help somebody understand like when I tell people they can actually like double their income, people like still look at me like, so just help people understand what is possible from a financial standpoint. What is possible for someone who makes an investment in themselves?
So I'll say this, I have, let's see, I have gotten more than 100% raise since engaging with Stella, and that was in 3 years. So I'm making more, about 150% of what I was making before, if you guys can add those numbers up, right? Never thought I'd be here. And so since engaging her, I've taken on bigger responsibility, bigger titles. My salary base went leaps and bounds, right? Never thought I'd be here. My goal was to be a vice president by the age of 40. I was a senior vice president by the age of 39.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that.
In my wildest dreams, from 10 years ago when I said, I'm going to be a VP by the time I'm 40. I was an SVP by 39, right? So again, the initial investment in this program, it's going to pay for itself. For instance, if Stella works with you and you land a $30,000 raise, right? This program is a fraction of that, right? So plus the investment that you make early on sets you up for continual growth. And so after a certain while, that initial investment I made 3 years ago, it's a drop in the bucket, and I would do it again. I would make a bigger investment for bigger gains, because the skills that she teaches you is not just for the moment. It'll last you on and on and on for next roles and bigger responsibilities, and just in life in general. A lot of this is transferable to just life skills. So one upfront investment, and this is not a commercial for Stella. I promise you, I'd be up on a Saturday, shouting to the rooftop for all who would listen. Invest in yourself, because the money that you pay up front, it'll be forgotten by the time your income takes that leap. It's a small investment for long-term gain.
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna cry. I didn't know that you had that goal, like the age-related goal. That always gets me. And so thank you for sharing that with our listeners. Okay, how has our relationship evolved? Like, let's just be candid about, I know that you've taken a break from the program, obviously, but what has happened for you since, and how would you, I think one of the things I want people to understand is that, yes, there are career coaches out there. Anybody can hang up a shingle and say, I'm a career coach. And yet I think that one of the things that this program offers and that I bring to the table is to be able to be a thought partner for you, to know you well enough to know where your blind spots may lie, and to, with love, like call you out. So is there anything you could say that would give people a flavor of that?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. To that, I would say other coaches could be pump and dump, right? They pump you with information and then they dump you off and wish you the best. And Stella and I have had various levels of engagement throughout the years. So again, it started with me attending her ColorCon presentation in San Francisco and being blown away. I never forgot about that. And it's not like I engaged her 3 months later. I engaged her like 2 years later or something crazy, right? So secondly, going through her program, finding success in that. Thirdly, like keeping in touch with her post program, for some spot advice along the way. And then looking forward, I have career aspirations. I won't say too much about that now, but just I'm really still engaged with her as I think about the next step in my career. And I think one thing that sets you apart, Stella, from other career coaches that I know in my orbit is, it's really important for the folks in your program to be honest with you. I think a lot of people go into career coaching thinking, I need to impress my coach, right? But Stella gets rid of that right away. She's not the one you want to impress. She holds up a mirror to you and she gives it to you straight with kindness, right? And firmness. But with that approach, she really changes, for me at least, she has changed my entire outlook on things. So even as recent as 2 weeks ago, I called her. I said, this is what I know is happening. I just know it. Remember, Stella, it was the woman was out to get me in this new job. She's out to get me. There's always one that's out to get you. It's always the woman. And I had to reverse my mindset out of that. And then for this one, it's like, I know that they're extending this process out because of XYZ, right? So she changed my outlook on that. And I feel like that's career changing and both life changing when you can really change your mindset and really see things in a different lens, and that it's not always, not working in your favor. I think a lot of women feel that. I think a lot of people of color feel things are discriminatory when they're not necessarily. And I think that can kind of take you down a negative rabbit hole. But again, Stella's not pump and dump. She really gets to know you personally. She understands the personal nuances of your experience and builds her program for you in a customized way that sets you up for the best success. So for that, I am grateful.
Oh, I have no words. I am so grateful for you. You've made my job easy
Likewise.
because you are so coachable, you're so open, so honest. And I love that you touched on that, the importance of vulnerability and openness and being communicative. All of those things have made my job not a job really, like just fun and enjoyable and enriching. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for sharing your story. I know that our listeners have gotten inspired, not even just about the program, but just how to navigate your life and how to show up for yourself. So thank you so much again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good to see everyone.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All righty. Hopefully you got value from that. And it's interesting because Sharice and I have actually, we're working, she's actually moved into the Catapulted Leader program. When you heard that conversation, she was in the Career Catapult, the program that we're talking about right now. She has since landed a bigger role, and now we're working together in a more one-on-one capacity inside the Catapulted Leader. So again, this is your moment, guys. This is your moment. It's not always the easiest decision. I get it. And if you've already made your decision, totally fine. But I know there are lots of you who are on the fence, who are still weighing, who are still deciding. And I want you to ask yourself, what is it that I still need to make my decision? By the way, if you have questions, put them in the chat, okay? Because we want to make sure you have all the information that you need. But this is your moment to move forward, to say yes to yourself in a major way. I know that there's some of you who are saying, well, I'm in between roles. I was just laid off. We have lots of our clients who joined us at that time. They took the leap of faith. They said yes to themselves, right? They did it. They were a little nervous, and I get it. You're human. Of course you would be. Why wouldn't you be, right? But ultimately, when they look at the results that they've had in under 90 days, especially those of them who are looking externally under 90 days, they look back and they say, this was the easiest decision. So you are at that crossroads. You are at that moment right now. Some of you have told me, I've been in conversation with lots of you, and you're telling me, I've been applying since it's been 6 months. It's been 9 months. Well, it's time to do something different because what you're doing isn't working. If it were working, you wouldn't be in that spot. Consider for a moment that you have blind spots. Consider for a moment you don't know everything there is to know about interviewing for a VP or director or SVP role. Consider for a moment that while you've gained and amassed all of this SME expertise, that when it comes to communication, branding, interviewing, your resume, negotiations, that there's still quite a bit for you to learn. Okay. Some of you have said to me, okay, I am in a job, which by the way, when you join our program, we don't say, oh, you're looking externally, so you can't look at anything on the internal side or vice versa. You get access to all of it. Some of you are internal, And I would say in this market, you should be putting all the irons in the fire, okay? You should be pursuing promotions internally, of course, but we have a path to ensure that in a very, not in an accelerated way necessarily, if you don't want to, but that you are still connecting, building your brand, doing all those things, because you heard Tanya's story. She was coasting along in her job, thought everything was good, and then boom, 30% of the team gone in one day, right? But because she had been doing what I asked her to do, which is let's start this process. I know you don't have I mean, you heard her story. She had a health scare. She had an aging parent who was also having some health challenges. She has young children, right? She had a lot of things going on. And so it wasn't like, okay, let's give you 5 more hours a week of work. It's like, what is the one thing we can do this week that won't take all that much, but will make this incremental progress on the external front? And then at the right time, almost by, divine intervention, if you will, the job offer comes through just as the company is making the decision to lay people off. But she didn't break a sweat. She didn't lose any sleep because she had been doing the work already that a lot of people are now just starting to do, right? For those of you who say, well, there are no jobs. I coached someone on this the other day. Oh, it's summertime. No one's hiring. Oh, people are going back to school. That's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. There are still roles. Every day I open my LinkedIn, all I see is pleased to announce I just accepted a job as this. Inside our program, same thing, right? So if what you're looking at is, oh, no one's responding, people are ghosting me, that means there's some work for you to do. And the first step is just being even humble enough to recognize that and say, okay, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to do that work because what I want is on the other side of that. Okay. Let's see if there are questions I see here in the chat. I'm later career and in a new IC role, really look to optimize my remaining work years. Wondering if this is the right program, but love your style. We have had people and we have people at all different stages of life in terms of age. So we don't look at it in terms of how old you are or how many more years you have to go in your career. I always say, actually, if you are like, okay, this next role, this has to be it. I want to go out with a bang. I want to end my corporate career and do something else with my life. And I want this next role, this final role, to be, the role. This is for you. I remember actually working with a woman who joined our program. She was a VP and was, I would say, later like 50s. And she had a similar question. And she said, I don't know, and I said to her, I want to work with you because you have so much in terms of knowledge and experience. This is not a liability. We have to brand you a certain way. Okay. 6 months later, she landed CHRO and she wrote me an email after and said, I can't, when I think back, this is the role I wanted. This is the role I wanted to end my career on. And we did it. I never thought it was possible for me. Right. So it's not about your age. It's not about the stage necessarily. It's whether you have the expertise that you need in your function and the willingness to do the work to create the brand and then to actually go out and get it. This is a time to go and get the role that you want. This is a time to get that. So if you are considering working with us, fill out the application and let's see if this is right for you. cycprogram.com is the link. Let's put that in the chat one more time. Okay, cycprogram.com, click the link, apply. And again, the application, there's no cost to apply, but we do want you to have an intention, a good faith intention of moving forward if we do welcome you into the program, right? This is not a call to have more free content, quote unquote, or to get more free value. We're pouring our heart and our soul into these sessions already. But if you are applying, it's because you know that you want to move forward and you want to have a conversation and maybe get a couple of questions answered. And that is the intention, because if it is a fit, we will welcome you to join us right on the call. All right. So if you are interested, now is the time. So hopefully I answered that question. I see it seems a couple people have that question. So I think I've answered that. If you have any other questions about whether the program is right for you, go ahead and put that in the chat. Listen, this year alone, we've had 5 of our clients cross over the $1 million mark. These are not people in New York or California. I always want to say that, okay? These are people in sort of average cost of living areas who now make $1 million in their corporate career. Okay. Someone's asking me for a program curriculum, and what I can tell, I can actually probably rattle it off the top of my head. when you join, it depends on what you're looking. So can you put in the chat for me, Jamie, what you're looking to do? What is your goal? So I can be very focused, because this program has a lot in it, but I want to make sure that I'm answering your specific question. But when you join us, if you're internal, there's an internal track. If you're external, there's an external track. There's also a track that sits on top of both of them that is goal clarity, mindset and confidence, time and energy, and wellness. We call that our foundation. Everybody gets access to that. And in fact, we don't want you to skip that, because if you don't get those 4 things I just mentioned right, goal clarity, mindset and confidence, time and wellness, okay, time and energy, and then wellness. If we don't dial in those 4 things, you will land that promotion and then you'll hate me and anyone else that had anything to do with that promotion. So we have to make sure that you have a foundation that's solid. Okay, those of you who said that you've been burning out, no, we got to get that down. And so we have a track that sits on top of both the internal and external to give you that solid foundation. Okay, it's about a 30-day process, but you don't need to do it exclusively. Some people do it in parallel. Some people say, okay, I want to do that first and then do the track. That's totally fine. Some people say, nope, I need a job like yesterday, so I'll do both in parallel. We don't want you to skip it though, because let me tell you, if you are looking for a job externally that's a skip level jump and you've just been laid off, let's say, okay, or you've had some challenges in your current organization, you have mindset work to do. It's not a matter of maybe, it's definite. You have some work to do. And that mindset work, the program will require you to do some things that you may have never done, to talk to people you may never have talked to before, to reach out to people you may never have reached out to, and to have a conversation in a certain way that requires that you have dialed in, or at least are dialing in that mindset. And I know many of you have mindset work to do. So we're not going to just leave you hanging and say, well, go do the mindset work. And then when you're all fixed and the mindset's done, then you can come and join us. No. This program is there for you to do the mindset work and have the results. Perfection is not required. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have a perfect mindset to be successful. It's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing. Just in our Friday call in the program, we had somebody who was very vulnerable, and she said, she was looking for a job externally, and in conversation, I said, hey, how come you didn't reach out to, who are you reaching out to? She showed me, and I said, why is this not on there, right? So, and she said, I didn't think to do that. And I could have just said, okay, well, go do it and then be done with it. And I said, no, but why? Why didn't you? And with loving exploration, it was mindset. There was the fear. It's been 10 years since I talked to that person. It's been 15 years. This person's here, this person's there. And then as we explored it, it turned out this was something that was deeper. It was something that was maybe even since childhood. Like there was a feeling of, can I do it? Am I qualified? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Right? So we have these conversations while we're catapulting, right? While we're catapulting, because it's required. Because if we don't have that conversation, you will be circumventing and sabotaging the actions. You only do what feels comfortable. And what feels comfortable is what's gotten you here. If you knew all the things and implemented all the things, you would already be in the job that you want. You would be there right now, but you're not, which means there's still some things that you need to know and implement. Okay. So, somebody says, do I work with men? I do work with men in a one-on-one capacity inside the Catapulted Leader. We have a few male clients, but our Career Catapult Executive Coaching Program, the program that you've heard me talk about this entire week, is a women-only program. But we do have male clients that we work with in a one-on-one capacity. If someone's not ready, how best can they prepare to qualify? It depends on what you mean by not ready. Is it a matter of I'm entry level in my career and I still have some expertise to gain? Well, go get the expertise, go do the work, go prove yourself, go get the track record, go have that demonstrable success in your career to get you to the point of expertise in your function. Once you have expertise in your function, you are ready to do the program. That's it, right? Once you have expertise. If you know that you are a high performer, you're getting the meets and exceeds at least, right? Or I would say the meets, but really the exceeds. You are being recognized as somebody who is a solid performer in your organization. this is the program for you. If you're somebody who's not a performer, who is in the bottom of the organization, first of all, you wouldn't be here. So I don't know, there's no point in saying that because you wouldn't even be in this conversation. This conversation would only appeal to you if you were already a high performer. All right. And if that's you, then now is the time. The program won't be there's no point at which the program will be less money. We're not going to ever devalue the program that way. The program investment is what it is. It is never, none of our clients, by the way, have ever said to me, Stella, I just have 15 grand laying around, don't know what to do with it. Nobody's ever said that to me. Everyone who's ever joined has always felt like that. Like the way you're feeling right now, where you're like, can I, should I, do I have, like everybody goes through that. I go through that still till this day. Okay. It is a normal feeling, but ultimately you realize, okay, you heard Cherise say this. If I want this, if I want to go after this is what I need to do. She has catapulted herself multiple times, right? Inside our program. She did the career catapult program for a couple years. She took a break. We landed some new roles. She's back now working with me one-on-one because your success is my track record. Your success is my reputation, right? I take that so seriously. The numbers we shared with you yesterday about our success, I look at that daily. I look at that every single day, and we make all the tweaks that we need to make sure that we protect that, because that is the most important thing. I know that you're investing your hard-earned money and your time. Actually, that's probably the bigger piece, your time. And so if you meet us, if you just show up, okay, and you show up and you do the work, we are there to hold your hand and take you the rest of the way. Okay, but you do need to show up. All right. Some of you have said to me, where have you been? I needed you 5 years ago. Well, I'm here now. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So this is your opportunity. cycprogram.com is your link. Okay, go ahead and click that link and join us. I want to remind everyone again very quickly what is included, because people ask me all the time. It comes up all the time. So I want to make sure it's very clear. Okay. When you say yes to us, here is exactly what you get inside this program. First of all, you get the strategy and the tools and the templates and the systems that you need to make a promotion happen internally within the next 90 days, or externally, rather backwards, externally within the next 90 days, internally in the next 6 to 12 months. Now, you may already be interviewing. We have people who join us and they're like, Stella, I've done my resume. I'm interviewing. We meet you where you are. We're not going to pull you back and say, well, you got to go start back here. We meet you where you are and we take you the rest of the way. So this program is highly customizable in that sense, right? It's not, yes, we have, and this is what I love about it. There's structure, because you don't want to sign up with the coach who's like, all right, what would you like to talk about today? Right? You don't really want that. You want there to be a method, a structure with tools. So you get that inside our program. The trainings that you need, the trainings are done in the style as this conversation is. This is not the same as a PowerPoint, right? We don't do the PowerPoint slide of like, yes, point number 1 is this and point number 2 is that. No, it's conversational, it is direct, and it's targeted. Okay. So that's the first thing that you get inside the program. We call it CIT, our Catapult Implementation Tracker. That's where all of our tools, all of our systems are housed. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing that you get are the 3 weekly group calls every single week. Now, you don't have to be in all the calls. I am in all the calls. Okay. This is where you get the personalization, because the first point gives you the structure, but you need the personalization as well. You need both. You need both. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you're someone who is internal and you want to land a promotion. One of the modules in that in our internal track is strategic relationships. There's an entire module on that. What does that mean? How do you build it? But it's not basic. It's not the rudimentary stuff of like, yeah, you need to be respectful and you need to meet with people. Like we assume that you know that. Okay. But we cover the things that often, no one has ever taught you, like, because it's not covered in any school or any textbook or any, even in your MBA, it's not covered. And B, it's the thing that even if you knew, you don't do. Even if you knew, you don't do it, right? That's what's in the training. So you listen to the training, right? And then in a personalized conversation in that group call, it may be a conversation about, okay, how do I apply that to this situation? I just got a whole new C-suite team. My team has turned over, right? I've got this big project I'm trying to do. I'm not getting the support for. We take the elements of what you've learned in that training, but we apply it to your own unique situation with your own cast of characters and all the stuff that happens within your organization. And now you have what you need to do. And we then lay out, okay, this is a step. This is what you need to do. Do this first, do the second, do this third, and this is by when you're going to do it. Right? Now you go implement. You take the action. So that's point number 2 is the weekly group calls. These are like one-on-one conversations with me in the company of other people. It's not like we're all talking and then, no, it's very focused. I'm really just looking at you, but sometimes there will be value in having someone else in the room who has the same experience. Or maybe, let's say, for instance, you're a director, there's an SVP in the room you're in product management, this person is an SVP in product management. They will probably have some information that would be helpful to you. They might unmute and say, hey, is it okay if I add this? And you want that. That is the beauty of what we've created, right? The final piece of this is the weekly check-ins that we do behind the scenes. We use Voxer, which is our walkie-talkie app. You can send text messages and voice notes. And on Voxer, we check in with you to make sure you're good. You're taking the action, you're moving forward. If you had a tough week, okay, let's make sure we get back on this week. Some of you need that accountability because life is chaotic and there are lots of things happening. Who doesn't have that, right? But you have the accountability to make sure that you are supported. And that's the core of what you get in this program. Of course, there are other things. We bring in guest speakers who come in and teach. Like we had someone who came in and taught, and who was a headhunter, an executive headhunter, talked about things to know from that perspective. We've had people who were benefits and comp experts come in and teach about how to negotiate comp at the executive level. We've had health and wellness women come in and talk about health for the C-suite leader. So we occasionally bring in other things, but the core 3 is what I've just mentioned here. That is what it takes for you to land the promotion that you want in record time. So if that appeals to you, if that resonates with you, if that interests you, cycprogram.com, fill out your application, okay? And then we will welcome you to a call. And if it's right for you, we'll welcome you into the program, all right? Okay. Let's talk about how to make winning decisions in your career and in your life. Let's see, I think there's a question here. Okay, I think I've got that one. Did I miss any other questions, Jamila? Let me know can you just make sure you, oh yeah, Jamila just reminded me of something, the career roadmap to the C-suite. Actually, somebody asked me about this too yesterday. Lots of times people will say to me, okay, here's where I am right now. I'm a manager, I'm a senior manager, I'm a director, I want to get to the C-suite. How do I make sure that I'm actually, the roles I'm taking are moving me in that direction? We actually have a roadmap that will tell you, I think we start off at manager all the way to the C-suite. And in each column, we tell you the exact experiences you must be having. You must be having if you want to get to the C-suite. So if you're a senior manager and you want to get to director, you got to make sure that in your senior manager role, you get these 4 things. If you're a director, you want to go to VP, in your director role, you get these 4 things, and on and on. Like that is, and then we take that and then we can customize it to you, your function, your situation. And now you have a blueprint, you have a roadmap, and you will never take the wrong job again. You will never take the wrong step because now you know, okay, in order for me to be in the top 1% of talent in line for VP as a director, I need to make sure I have this kind of experience, right? Do I have P&L experience? Do I lead this kind of team? Do I have this kind of project? Like you have that, so you can then you can have the conversations internally. Your career development conversations can look completely different now. Now you know what you're actually talking about in terms of here are the experiences I need to be having. So this program is complete. We have thought about all the things. I mentioned the comp research last time. Those of you who are like, I don't know, where am I in comp? You know, I make 200K right now. I'm a director. Is that good or bad? Is there more on the table, right? We give you the research, right? All the industries, healthcare, pharma, banking, CPG, tech, all the things, right? We give you the industry, we give you the function and the level, and you have if you are in a mature Fortune 500, the numbers are different than if you are in a startup that's sub $500 million. And we give you both of those so that you can make better decisions about your comp. We are pouring so much so much, giving you resources at your fingertips. This program is actually massively undervalued at the current rate, okay? So this is your opportunity if you are ready. There's no better solution out there for you. This is everything that you need in one package. Okay, I see some raised hands, so if you have questions, just type them in the chat and I will come back. I want to make sure we cover our topic though for today, but if you have questions, put them in the chat and I will answer them. Yes, I am Canadian and not American. Does the comp research? Yes, right. It gives you, we don't have comp research that is for every single zip code, right? So we don't have that level of detail. But lots of times when people are in the middle of negotiating, let's say for instance, you have the general information, right? You start interviewing and all of that, and you're like, hey, I would love to have some data for Canada, for instance, for this job title that is already on the sheet. We can get you more accurate information for Canada versus the US, right? So we do offer that, but is it my zip code or my specific city? No, it is not at that detail, but we can get you closer if you're looking at Canada versus the US. Certainly we can do that. Okay, I think that was it. All right, let's dive in because I do want to cover how to make winning decisions. This is one of those topics that you will use for so long after this conversation, right? How many of you have ever had a big decision that kept you up at night? How many of you have had a big decision? Put it in the chat. You've had a big decision that kept you up at night in career and life. It doesn't have to be just your career, in career and life, right? You had a big decision that you couldn't sleep. You were up all hours of the night thinking about it, at least monthly, at least once a month. She has a big decision that keeps her up at night, right? The older you get and the more responsibility you have on your shoulders, there will be more of those decisions. Okay, there will be more of those. And what I want to share with you today very quickly is what I personally use in making winning decisions in my career and in my life. This will help you in terms of, like I said, not just your career, because this is really a holistic thing. This will help you in terms of your, who should I marry, right? Like I'm talking life and career. It's going to help you with that. So I want you to ask yourself, do I have a sound process? Those of you who said yes, right? Do you have a sound process for making decisions? Put that in the chat, yes or no. Do I have a sound process? Meaning a process that makes sense, that I follow, it's a framework. And when I got a tough decision, that's the first thing I use to evaluate, okay? Okay, so if you don't, then this will be really, really helpful for you. So let's first talk about how the average person makes decisions, because then you'll be able to see the value of what I'm getting ready to share with you. Okay, how does the average person make decisions? Let me sip my water here. Okay, I'll share with you 5 mistakes, and I'll go rather quickly because chances are if you don't have a sound process, these will be familiar to you. And I'm going to raise my hand because even though I have a sound process, sometimes human nature, I still, we're human, you still find yourself doing the thing that you know not to do. And so now you'll know, okay, you'll recognize it faster and you'll be able to pivot. Mistake number 1, ruminating. Ruminating. Analysis paralysis. That's mistake. Write this down. Mistake number 1, ruminating. What is that? Well, simply, thinking over the same set of facts. You have a big decision to make. You've been given a set of facts. It is not complete because it's never complete. If we had pure, complete certainty, it wouldn't be a tough decision. If you knew how it would turn out and you had all the details, you would make that decision in no time. But you have a set of facts, and that's all the facts you're getting. This is the situation. And rather than saying, all right, here are the facts on the table, here's what I know, here's what I don't know, and then moving, you ruminate, which means that you are just rethinking over the same set of facts over and over and over again. When you think of a cow, an herbivore, right? They digest their food and then they bring it back up and they chew it again. And that's what you're doing when you're ruminating. And it is energy intensive to do that. How many of you ruminate? You're just kind of running these drills in your head of the same set of facts. Nothing has changed from one day to the next, but you keep thinking about it over and over and over again, adding nothing new. There's nothing new to consider. You have all the facts that you're going to get. And you ruminate, and what you do, oftentimes that rumination leads to running out the clock. Because when you have a big decision, it's usually time sensitive. It wouldn't be a big decision if there wasn't some kind of time component to it. And so what happens is we just kind of, I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it. Boom, done. Time is over. Okay, well, it just wasn't the right time. That's what rumination does. So mistake number one. Mistake number two, asking the wrong people for their opinion. That's another mistake when you are faced with a big decision, asking the wrong people for their opinion. Now, when I say wrong people, I don't mean that these people don't love you. I don't mean that they don't care for you. But it's the wrong person if this person has not done anything similar to the thing that you're trying to do or the thing that you're considering. And this is a very important point because, and I studied human behavior for some time, I can tell you this is what we do. When you have a big decision that is scary, where in your gut, you already know what you want to do, but there's a lot of fear around it, a lot of fear. What we'll do is we'll go to somebody and ask them what they think, knowing fully well that person's going to say, girl, I don't know. Do you want to do that? Why would you want to take that promotion or take that job when it's going to be more stress and you're already complaining about the stress you have now? Knowing that the person who's talking does not have a high level job in their career, has never been an SVP or C-suite leader, has no proximity to anybody who has done that. They may love you, but they're sharing from their own limitation. They're trying to protect you even more. Many of us do this with our spouses. I was going to do it, but my husband said no. My husband said, it's like, how did you have that conversation? If you yourself were also rooted in fear, you're going to communicate that fear to the other person. They're going to pick up on it. Okay. So if I go to and I make decisions all the time with my husband, if I go to him and say, okay, here's this thing, not really sure, I'm kind of thinking about it. What do you think? He's going to pick up on that and be like, well, I don't think that's a good idea. And then, but if I have the conversation with certainty, like, listen, I already know this is it. I'm gonna figure out how to do it. That's a different, and he's gonna be like, okay, like, how do we make this happen? So they're all the tricks that we play on ourselves and our minds play on us. Asking the wrong people for their opinion is one of them. I love my mom dearly. We talk almost every day. Okay. But there's certain things I decide I don't even really tell her about it until it's either done, or I may not even bring it up at all. Because while I value her opinion in lots of things in my life, there are certain things that we're on different paths on. Right. And so me going to ask her what she thinks is me actually trying to sabotage. That's what self-sabotage looks like for me, because I already know what she's going to say. And because I myself, I'm not convinced about it, I'm now going to use her as the scapegoat, as the excuse for why I didn't do it. Just put in the chat if this is making sense for you. If you get what I'm saying here, let me know. If you have certainty within yourself, right? Or if you don't have certainty within yourself, you go look for other people to validate what you already are afraid of. And they're just going to give you right back what that thing is. And then you can say, well, see, I talked to 5 people. They said it wasn't a good idea. So that's why I didn't do it. Asking the wrong people for their opinion. Okay. Mistake number 2. Mistake number 3, making decisions based on fear. Making decisions based on fear. This one's, I mean, you knew this was going to be on the list, right? Who doesn't feel fear? Of course, you're a human. We're having a human experience. Fear is part of that. Fear is part of that. You are going to feel fear, and the fear isn't going to necessarily go away. You're never going to get to a point where you fear nothing. There will always be fear as you go on. But are you making decisions based on the fear? For some of you, you know that you're in between roles right now. And it's not that doing a program like this would put you in financial harm's way necessarily. It would just be a sacrifice. It would be a sacrifice. And there's some fear. What if I don't land the job? What if, like, that's what the fear sounds like. What if I do it and I don't land the job? Right? You're making decisions based on fear. And I'll share with you in a moment what to do instead. But recognize what's happening. Sometimes fear masks itself as logic. If you were here on Monday, I talked about that. You may not recognize it as fear. It may seem like logical. Well, why would I go sign up for a program when I don't have a job? Right? Knowing that, okay, well, if you're not landing the job, perhaps that's why you need the program, right? Fear masks itself as logic. And so what is the fear that you have that you're making decisions based on? What is the fear that you have that you are making decisions based? Sometimes we want total clarity before we can make decisions. And that's how you miss out on lots of opportunities in career and in life. Number 4, making decisions based on your current state, right? Very similar to fear, but you're looking at what is in front of you right now, and that is the sole basis for your decision. I just looked at my bank account and I don't have $15,000 in it, and so I can't do it. Right now I'm in a busy season at work, and we're working, X number of hours, and that's my current state, so I can't do a program like this. Let me say this as succinctly as I can. If you make decisions based on your current state alone, all you will have is your current state, because you haven't carved out any time to do something for the future. If we don't figure out how to carve out some time, some resources, some energy to create something other than the current state will just continue to happen. Does this make sense for anybody? Right? The current state is the current state. You want something different than that, you have to invest in that future state. Otherwise, the current state is all there is. You can't get something out of nothing, right? So the current state's not what you want. You want a future state. What are you doing to create that future state? Right? Making decisions based on your current state. Mistake number 5 is having a short-term versus a long-term focus. Short-term versus long-term, which means that when you're looking at your decisions, you're only looking at what you will get in the short term. What will happen in the short term? You're not looking at multiple periods, right? Lots of people do this. Oh, short term, there's a short-term sacrifice. There's a short-term, discomfort. And that's all they see. They can't see anything else beyond that. Right? When I made an investment, I think I shared this weekend, when I made an investment in myself, in my career, I was making $70,000 all in at the time. Now times are different now, but $70,000. And the investment was 10,000. I didn't, I was like, how's this? First of all, I knew I had to do it, but I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I was going to figure it out. If I just looked at my current state and said, well, I'm making 70, how can I invest 10? And yet the average person in their career is getting really between 3 to 5%. And that's not even average. And average person is getting 0% real increase in their wage, because even though they're getting increases, inflation supersedes that. So they're staying flat or even worse. So if I want something different than the average person in terms of the rate and the trajectory and how exponential I want my income to grow, then I have to make a decision that's different than what the average person would do. It really is very mathematical when you think about it. We put a lot of emotion in this stuff sometimes, but it's like you kind of have to be dispassionate about it and just look at it and say, okay, this makes sense. So these are the mistakes. And I want you to ask yourself if you are making these mistakes when you are faced with a decision. And now what I want to do is share with you my framework for how to make winning decisions. I have 5 questions that I ask myself, and I invite you to ask yourself when you are making winning decisions, okay? This is how you make decisions like the 1% of talent. Question number 1, is this in line with due north? Is this in line with due north? What is due north? Well, you wrote it down on day 1. See, this is a full circle moment. Day 1, I asked you, what is a catapulted career? Rapid growth, being able to pivot and land roles no matter what industry, maximum income, impact, and well-being. You wrote down your legacy, what you want to do in the world, how much money you need to do that. You wrote down job number 2. You did all this work already. You don't have to think hard about it. Just flip your workbook back to day 1. That is due north. You already wrote the legacy, what you want to be here after you're gone. So is whatever it is in line with due north? Whatever you're deciding, what is due north for you? And is this in line with it? Or is this a distraction from it? Right? For instance, if you know that right now you're actually not focused on your corporate career, you're focused on your business. That is your number one focus right now. You're creating a business as an entrepreneur, and your corporate job is really just kind of a side thing that you're doing. This program does not make sense for you. The thing in line with Due North is for you to go hire a business coach, right? So is this in line with Due North is the first question you have to ask. If it's not in line with Due North, don't spend another second thinking about it. Question number 2, I ask myself, does it offer what I need? Does it offer what I need? Let me give you an example of this, right? When you have a goal or a problem or a challenge that you're trying to achieve or deal with, there are lots of ways you can go about it. Let's take an example with weight loss. If I'm like, and actually I'll share personally my own situation, right? I have 2 kids. After having my 2 kids, I was like, all right, I'm ready to get myself back. I used to be a runner. I'm ready to get back to where I was. All right. Now there are lots of things I could do. And I did consider. I could go online. They have these trainers now that can train you online. You can buy a course. You can just watch the videos, 30-day video, 60-day video. You turn on your computer, you watch the video, and you do the workout with the person, right? They got that. All right. But I know myself, and I know what I need in this season. I need you to come to my house. Okay. I need you to come to my house where there's no excuses. You're coming, you know where I live, and you're showing up. That's what I need right now. I won't always need that, but right now, that's what I need. So what sense does it make for me to go buy the $30 thing that is a video that there's no human being for me to talk to if they don't know if I have diastasis or nobody knows. It's just, yeah, do the workout. What sense does it make for me to go do that instead? Does this make sense for any? Does that example help you see what I'm talking about? What do I need? And if what I need costs more, I'm going to figure out how to give myself what I need, because if I don't do that, that $30 or $60 or $99 will sit there in my inbox. It will be open maybe on day 1, but it won't be opened again, because the moment I don't get any sleep because the baby didn't sleep and all that stuff, forget about that video. So that's why you have to give yourself what you need, not just what's cheapest or what's readily available or what do you need? If you need a coach that has a structure and the personalization and the accountability, do the program. That's an example, right? We're so used to just negotiating with ourselves. It's like, look at the facts. What do I need? What is it that I need right now? Give yourself that, not just what is easiest, cheapest, right? Because when you do the thing that is easiest and cheapest, it may feel good in the moment, but how many of you have things you've purchased online that you never even used or implemented? It's just sitting there in your inbox. There's a whole like graveyard of things that you bought or things that you didn't. It's just sitting there. It's not what you needed. It's not what you needed. That was question number 2. Question number 3, is there more upside than downside potential? Is there more upside potential than downside? With every decision, there is upside and there is downside. There is upside and there's downside. And you have to be smart about figuring out what's my upside and what's my downside. And if the upside is bigger than the downside, you move forward. You move forward. If you're waiting for total clarity, I want to know exactly. For some of you, when I talk to you, it's like, here are 10 questions I have about the program. We answered that 10 questions. Now you have 20 more questions, then 30 more questions. That's not how you make a winning decision. You ask the relevant questions, you get the information, you know that there is probably some risk involved, and then you move forward. But you calculate the upside and the downside. That's how you make decisions quickly, like the 1% of talent. Question number 4, I ask myself, am I committed to stepping into this new level? Whatever this new level is. And this is not just your career, by the way, this applies to your life. Whatever you're trying to do or looking to step into, are you committed to being that person? Are you committed to stepping into this new level that you are going to be called to? When you land the job, that landing the job is the sprint. It's called catapult. We get you there quickly. There's a job to be done when you get there, though, right? It's not just about landing the job. You have to operate at that new level. Are you committed to operating at that new level? Lots of people want the title and the money only. And I actually had this realization recently. A lot of people want the title, they want the money, but they actually have no idea what the job is. They have no idea. They want to be SVP. But what is an SVP? They have no clue. So are you committed to stepping into this new level? First thing to do is to figure out what is this new level really, and are you committed to it? And then last but not least, this is actually my favorite. What happens if I don't do it and I stay exactly where I am? Like, what happens if nothing changes? If nothing changes and I stay exactly where I am, what happens? Now, for most of you who are listening to this, if you don't do this program, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Okay? You're doing better than most people in the population already. So nothing will happen. And maybe that's the problem. Nothing will happen. And so there are some of you who are okay with nothing happening. Like the thought of you being in your current role for another 2 years, you're like, that's fine, right? The thought of you being in the organization and not getting promoted and watching others get promoted, that's fine. The thought of you not making more money or getting the 0 to 5%, that's fine. There's some of you for whom that is fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then there are others of you when you just heard me say that, you're like, oh no, the thought of me being in the same role for another 2 years, thought of me looking for a job for another 6 months, the thought of me getting the rejection after the rejection for another 6 months, like, oh no, right? Then that's part of your decision making. This is not some kind of like I said, if nothing happens and you're already doing fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you know that you want more and you know that there is more, and you know that the only thing you're missing is to have the tools and the guide and the thought partner and the community and the templates that you need that help you do this quickly, then give yourself what you need, right? Give yourself what you need and move forward, right? Someone said my stomach turned. Yeah, I mean, one of my friends was having some challenges. A friend of mine, actual friend of mine, was having some challenges in her work. And she called me one day and she was like, I just want to go and quit and maybe just get a job at the airport or at Barnes and Noble and just call it a day. For her, she's like, I have money, I'm good. I just like maybe I should just give it all up and just go get a job that is what she perceived to be less, demanding, let's say. And I said to her, now, the moment you get to that Barnes and Noble, you'll be in there reorganizing everything, making things more productive and optimal and doing like you already know that you're not someone who can just coast. You're not someone who can just, be like, okay, I don't really care. You care too much. You have potential inside of you, and that potential is going to find one way or another to come out, right? Some of you resonate with that. My husband says that to me all the time. I'm like, I'm the person, like when we go to the grocery store, we're traveling, I'm the person who's like, why can they move that over there? And why isn't, I have a supply chain background, right? So you already know that. You already know yourself. Why are you trying to front and act like, today you're hot, today you're cold? No, you know what you want, and you know the conditions under which you want it. You're not willing to sacrifice your health and your well-being and your family. We got that. We got that. So ask yourself the question, how can I make $1 million in my corporate career and make the kind of impact I want without burning out? That's the question, right? That's the question, not I don't want it anymore. So hopefully this is helpful as you think through how to make winning decisions in your career and in your life, not just in making the decision to join us inside this program, which of course the doors are open for you to do, but in other areas of your life, no matter what that is. And if you commit yourself to these 5 questions I just asked you and you personalize them, you'll find yourself again in line with Due North, making decisions that move you closer and get you to your ultimate destination. Again, quick reminder, the doors are open. If you are ready, we are ready for you. Tuesday will be our final session. And once after our Tuesday session, we'll turn our attention to those who have said yes, and we'll welcome them because we have quite a bit of work to do to get them set up. So we are opening our calendars now for you. Okay, I think I have some spots today on my calendar and Monday and Tuesday, after which we will then focus our attention to our orientation and welcoming our new clients. So if everything I've said today has lit a fire inside of you and you know that you are ready to do this, I'm waiting for you. Okay, I'm waiting for you. We have shared lots of success stories. If you go on our Instagram, you'll see even more. Those of you who are on IG, we put some more of our stories. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when you're in the middle of having the wins, it's tough to stop and be like, oh, let's go share. And so we realize, my goodness, there's so many we haven't even shared. We've been so busy at work. All right, so go ahead and check out our results. If you have any questions, let us know. And we are not done. Tomorrow, same time, same place, we will be here talking about how to maximize, how to avoid reputational risk, rather, how to get all the way to the top and not damage your reputation. Our IG, go ahead and put in chat. It's _Intel, _INTELLE is our IG, _INTELLE. And yeah, connect, follow. Let's get connected on IG as well. All right, everyone. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. I'll see you here tomorrow. Bye for now.